your wealth, live on your terms. Your life is your message to the world. Make sure it's inspiring. Hello and welcome to the Dare to Change Life interview series, The Legends of Our Time. I'm Millen Livis, the host of this interview series and financial independence consultant. I help women to be financially independent so that they experience more freedom and create a greater impact in the world. My amazing guest today is Dr. Gayle Carson, a legend indeed in so many ways. Welcome, Dr. Gayle.
Hi, nice to see you.
So, in just 1 year after graduating college, Dr. Gayle bought her first business and grew it into the largest independent organization in the industry. As the CEO, Gayle managed a diverse staff of over 350 people, graduated more than 1 million students from her training programs, and received her doctorate from the Nova Southeastern University while serving as the CEO of her business. Dr. Gayle was selected as a legend of the speaking profession and is currently hosting over a dozen radio shows per month. And she is the founder of the SOB Radio Network. Dr. Gayle, welcome again.
Thank you so much for having me, Millen. It's just a delight and pleasure to be with you.
So I have so many things that I want to ask you, but I would like to start with this SOB network. Where did the SOB designation come from and why it's so important to you?
Well, I must admit, I created it myself. I was sitting with a group of women in the back of the Florida Speakers Association, and we were kind of talking to each other, and I thought, oh, we really need to be quiet. I said, but then we're just a bunch of SOBs, and I said, spunky old broads, and it stuck, and I trademarked it, and that's where the SOB came from. And then, of course, because we were doing radio shows and I started an SOB radio show, we decided to create a network for women over 50 who could then become hosts on the network as well as being guests on the show.
Very interesting. And so that became your brand, right?
That's my brand, trademarked, and now we've got an online store, and it will be on coffee mugs and clothing and jewelry and all kinds of things. So people are going to be wearing SOB around the country.
And I also know that you have Facebook group, right?
I have a Facebook group. It's SOB Virtual Club. So if anybody wants to go to Facebook, if they're over 50, then it's right there under groups, Virtual SOB Club, and they can become a member. And it's free, so there's no charge, and we just talk about different things, and then I do a Facebook Live every week.
So, Gayle, I really want to dive in with you into how the TV helps people to be more visible and more known. So how's been branded helped you or maybe hindered you?
Well, you know, it's interesting because I don't know what happens in other countries, but in the US, when you're on television, you're considered an authority, you're considered an expert. And it's like a third-party endorsement. It's not you telling anybody you're good, it's somebody else telling other people that you're good. So it takes you out of the pack. And one of the things that I have done with the SOB is it takes me out of the pack. There are many people well, not necessarily my age because I'm pretty up there, but in terms of women 50 plus who are doing programs, but they're not branded. And by having a brand, you take yourself out of everybody else. And so that's what I've done with the Spunky Old Broad, and it gets me on TV because it's a talking point. So that's why it's so important.
Very interesting. So I know that a lot of people right now, we call them influencers or just coaches and consultants and basically people who have a message that they want to share. They would love to get on TV. So how do you think, what are the ways that would help people to get on TV so they could approach a larger audience and become more visible and spread their word?
Well, of course, I have a course on how to get on TV. So if anybody is interested, they can go to sobuniversity.com and find the course there. But why should they do it and how should they do it? First of all, they have to have a unique message, not what everybody else is saying. If you'll notice, if you ever go to networking meeting, people that stand up and introduce themselves, they all sound alike. You've got to have something that separates you. So what are you saying that's different than anybody else? Then have facts, have statistics that you can quote on air that are legitimate, that people will pay attention to. And then thirdly, what's your approach that makes it different so that the producer will book you in the first place? Because if you are saying what everybody else is saying, it won't get you on air. But when you have an opinion or a viewpoint or an approach that is different from anybody else, that is viable, then they will book you.
So do you need to have an agent who will book you on particular shows, or it's possible to do it on your own?
Absolutely possible to do it on your own. You do have to know how to put a segment proposal together, and we teach that to you in the course. But you, and excuse my cat, he has to come and say hello. But yeah, you can do it yourself, but nothing is easy. And that's what you have to understand. For example, I've been on a particular station 3 times and they love me. But for me to get back on again, it may take 8 or 9 phone calls just to reach the producer, because they're all busy. They're all doing things. And we know how short-staffed everybody is now. So it takes a lot, and it takes a lot of persistence. And it's costly because you're paying for your own appearances. You're paying to get to the station. If you're doing it locally, fine, there's no cost. But if you're going around the country doing it, there's a cost. There's transportation, there's hotels, there's food, there's all of that. So you need to be prepared for that.
Very good points and very good tips. Thank you so much. And I understand that these tips and much more would be available in the training that you offer.
Right.
Because you are like a media expert. And for people who, like myself, not familiar with TV appearances, not experienced, I should say, with TV experiences, this is a very valuable tips. So speaking of the message, because you brought up something very important, what is your message? If you could just say to us as an example of how we need to be aware of how our message lands on our audience and how to make it concise, how to make it to the point.
Well, I'll just give you an example of one of my segment proposals. I talk about the 3 worst mistakes to make when starting a second career. So if we talk about what the things are that people who are over 50 have to look at in getting employment, which may depend on the circumstances at the time, but I talk about those 3 worst mistakes. And then I have props that help facilitate the understanding of that. So that's an example of something I do. Another segment I did, because this particular station did not want a talking head, I did a workout program, just a 3-minute segment, because that's all you get. What's a workout? Sitting in a chair for an adult who really can't move well. And I used water bottles for weights and a band for chest expansion and things like that.
So you actually pre-recorded this segment and provided the video with these exercises?
I actually did it at the station, and their host exercised with me. We were both in workout clothes. So I did one segment at one station in the morning where I was all beautiful in my suit and everything on the 3 worst mistakes. And then in the afternoon, I changed into workout clothes, did a segment at another network in the same city on working out.
Amazing, just amazing. And you know, you in an age when you could really take it easy. You could relax, you could enjoy your friends, watching movies, going to a theater, maybe not right now, not because of the COVID, but in general, like you chose to be active. You chose to have so many shows a month. It's really impressive. What drives you? What makes you wake up every morning and say, I'm gonna do this again and again and again?
Well, I have to tell you, I love what I do. So that has a lot to do with it. And all my life, I have done businesses that I love. When I started my schools and I built them up into the 7 offices, and I also had a talent agency and a convention service company, I loved everything that I did. I just loved it. And then when I went into speaking, and I spoke in 50 countries and 49 states, I loved talking to the audiences of the corporations, of the associations. And now that I'm the SOB, the spunky old broad, and I do what I do now, working with women 50 plus, and also in the media, how do you get in media, on media, etc. I love what I do. And why stop what you love doing if you're able to continue doing it? Now, I'm not a spring chicken. I'm 82 years old. And some people say, well, you don't look it, you don't act it, but that's because I do what I love. And even though I have health compromises, I work out every day, 1 hour every day. Usually it was 2 hours when I went to the gym, but now it's 1 hour, and I do a 1 hour workout every single morning.
Just incredible. I'm just so impressed with your determination, with your clarity, with all your achievements. And I have a question that I personally would like to hear answer, and I know that women who follow me would love to know it too. You had all these wonderful businesses, and I know that you also have a family. Your husband passed away, but you still have your children. So how did you manage all these passions, running these businesses and raising the family, having a family, and having a very happy family? I know this because we spoke before.
Well, because I had a wonderful husband. I mean, he was a man beyond his times. He was ahead of himself, and he loved his family. He loved being with his family. He had his own business, but he loved being home with them. He loved taking care of them, and he loved helping me. And so I was very fortunate. I married the greatest guy in the world as far as I'm concerned. And that's what allowed me to do everything, because he said, I know who you are. I know what you do. And I told him before we were married that my career was always going to come first, and that he and kids would come second. And he said, that's okay, because you will always take care of yourself, and the kids will come first. You will come second, and my career, his career, will come third. And that's the way it was. But we had the best marriage for 45 years because we both understood each other, and we trusted each other, and we loved each other. And that was everything. I mean, when we got together, we were like little kids. We just enjoyed each other so much. I mean, there were issues. There's always issues when you're raising kids. I mean, nothing's smooth sailing. But he was a great partner, a great partner.
You know, when I hear this, and I know that many women feel that it's not possible to have it all. Like it's either career or good relationship. And you are such a beautiful example of, yes, it is possible. And it's actually very enjoyable when you have this balance. I don't know if balance is the right word, but when you have this very nice supporting relationship back, you know, not only your husband supported you, but you were also the woman that he wanted to have in his life. So, well,
and that's why, yeah, Millen, I think this is what's so different, is that, first of all, we were both very honest with each other before we got married. So that was, I mean, it wasn't something that changed when we got married. All of a sudden, oh no, this is not what I want. Number two, balance changes as we change and as our lives change. Balance changes. What I'm doing now is, so it's not different, but it is different in the way I do it without him. And you know, as I was growing up, there was one kind of balance. When the kids were little, it was another kind of balance. When the kids left, it was another kind of balance. So people need to understand life is continually changing, and you must change with it. You can't stay in this little cocoon, because you will get hurt if you do that. So, you know, you brought up an excellent word, balance, and it changes all the time. And some people change with it and some people don't. And that's one of the reasons why there is divorce and there is discontent. So we were one of the lucky ones.
Such a beautiful example. So, Gayle, I want to ask you about managing finances in the relationship, because you were always the one who was out there managing companies, being the CEO. And how did you manage finances in your family? Like, was it you who was leading everything, or just tell me a little bit, because I know a lot of women want to know that.
Well, you know, it's interesting. I wasn't sure, you know, how this is all going to work out, but I am good with money. So when we got married, I said to him, well, before we got married, I said, you know, I really want to handle the money. And I didn't know what his reaction would be. He said, thank goodness. He said, I hate doing that. And so every week when we got married, he didn't have a business. He was working. He gave me his paycheck every week. Just here's the paycheck, pay the bills. So I did manage the money. However, he became a contractor. And so we did a lot of investing in real estate. And he had that eye. I was the money, he was the builder. And it was a great team. He really could spot. Well, we were mostly in commercial real estate, and he could spot a building that was, I thought, nothing and a wreck, and he transformed it into this gorgeous whatever. And you know, that's really how we were. We were a team. I did the money, he did the construction, and it worked out beautifully.
Very nice. So many things we could learn from you. And I would like to ask you if there is some advice, maybe one or maybe two, you could give to our viewers. So,
Sorry about that.
It's okay. So they would feel inspired to live their best life. What advice would you give women who are watching us?
Really, I would say, be true to yourself. What's important to you? Now, this is not being selfish. This is being realistic. What's important to you so that you can lead a true, valuable life, meaningful to you. Now, don't hurt anybody else in the process. Don't be selfish about it. Don't be egotistical about it, but be realistic. What is it going to take to make you happy? What is it going to take to make a relationship for you happy? What is it going to take to make you successful? Those are the things you have to look at. In other words, you can't hide your head in the sand. You can't say, oh, it may be, or it will be, or it can be. I mean, you should look in the future and always be optimistic, but you have to be realistic too. I mean, for example, you said to me, you know, I could be retired and I could be, but that's the point. Many people retire without a plan, and that's why they're miserable, and that's why they don't last very long. I don't care whether the plan is to travel. I don't care if the plan is to sit home and read books or create poetry or whatever, or gardening or whatever it is, but there has to be a plan. And if you don't have a plan, and if you don't have a schedule, and you don't have a routine, this is my other cat that just came to call. You know, so if you don't have a routine, it's just not good. It's not good. So I think that's the important thing. Have a plan, have a routine, and what's going to keep you happy.
This is such a wonderful advice. Wonderful. I really appreciate that you brought this.
And you have to have one of these, Millen. You know, you have to have a pet, because these people.
Yes, I know. I'm working on this. I have to convince my husband, unfortunately, because of our travel, but I'm definitely working on a pet as addition to our family. So Dr. Gayle, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking time to talk to me today, to share your wisdom, to share your experience and to share your wonderful, legendary life. Thank you so much.
Thank
And
you
everybody,
so much for having me.
and I just want to tell you, if you want to get in touch with Dr. Gayle, you can find her contact information in the comments to this video. We're going to post her all her shows, so you could watch her shows, you could contact her. And I'm telling you, she is an amazing woman, and definitely a legend. Okay, so if you want to get in touch with if you want to hear more Dare to Change Life inspirational and educational videos, and get in touch with our guests, etc. So I invite you to follow and like us on Dare to Change Life Facebook page. And you can sign up for my private YouTube channel, Millen Livis Channel Wealth. Thank you so much for watching. Until we meet again, be well, be happy, be healthy, and be wealthy. Bye now. Grow your wealth, live on your terms.